Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome yet again to another episode of Lunch Guide. My name is Chef Andy, and today I've got something really interesting for you all. I'm going to be showing you how to make a very simple wrap using some chicken, and we're just basically going to turn the whole dish into a very beautiful lunch item. But before we proceed, I'll start off by introducing my ingredients. So from the front, I've got some capers, some mustard, some cayenne pepper and some olive oil, some Parmesan cheese and some sugar, some mayonnaise and some salt. I also have some gherkins and some white onions there, a bit of flour there on the side as well, some lettuce, some chicken thighs that have already been deboned, just some regular water and some olive oil. So we're going to go into a short break now, and we're going to get everything organized to go. And I'm also going to give you this chance to grab your pens and papers if you're taking notes, and when we come back we're going to just dive into it. So don't touch that dial, we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to first of all start off by doing some magic with a bit of chicken. So I'm just going to grab a bowl for that purpose. And basically something very common that you will notice with wraps, they're actually much better off done to order. So we're actually going to also make the wrap on this very episode. So we're going to first start off by grabbing a bit of flour. And we're basically just going to make a bit of some seasoned flour for the chicken. So to that I will add some cayenne pepper. And I'll also add about 2 pinches of salt. And all you need to do now is just give that a quick mix. And we're basically now going to toss the chicken in here. But before we proceed, we're also going to get a pot of oil going. So we give that a bit of time to heat up. So all you need to do at this stage is using a pair of tongs, just add your chicken pieces in there and just toss thoroughly, making sure to coat your chicken completely. And once you're done, you can just move those into a plate and then just proceed to do the same with the rest of the chicken. I particularly insist you always work with tongs. It's a little more hygienic to work with, and especially when you're working with meat, it's always very advisable not to touch food with your hands if you can avoid it. So it's always handy to have something like a pair of tongs to work with. Right, so just finish coating all your chicken pieces first, giving your oil just a bit of time to heat up as well. And I'm using chicken thighs for this particular recipe. It actually is a little much more cheaper to work with the thighs, particularly if you're going to be making something like a wrap. And second of all, thighs also really tenderize really well once you debone them really nicely. And these really just give you a very good feeling for your wrap. Right, so our chicken pieces are all coated now. All you can do now is discard the rest of your bowls and proceed to fry your chicken. I'm just going to add all the pieces in there and just allow them to cook till they're crispy. You can just discard that. And then you can now grab a fresh bowl. Always very handy to also have some kitchen paper or some parchment paper to just allow you to just drain your chicken once it's cooked. I'm just going to switch to another pair of tongs now. Using the tongs, we're just going to begin to mix up the chicken in there, making sure that none of your pieces are attached to each other or stuck to each other. And this should basically now fry for anywhere between 6 to 9 minutes until it's perfectly done. But while that proceeds, we're also going to grab another bowl which we're going to start making our wrap mixture. So very, very simple. I like to particularly start by sifting your flour. This is just to make sure there's no foreign bodies in your flour. So start off by adding about half a cup of flour into a bowl. Add also about half a teaspoon of salt. And also add about a teaspoon of sugar. Then just proceed to sift everything together. And once that's all in the bowl, add just a little bit of water, about a quarter of a cup, just to begin. And proceed to mix your dough. At this point, I'll also incorporate just a little bit of olive oil, about half a tablespoon. And then using the extra flour you have for dusting, just add a little bit of flour in your bowl and proceed to combine your dough until it forms a ball. Then just using a bit of flour, just rub all the dough stuck to your fingers, making sure not to waste any of your mixture. Now all you need to do at this stage is just knead your dough for about 2 minutes, adding just a little bit of flour. And just proceed to knead your dough for about 2 minutes, making sure to incorporate everything on the sides of your bowl. And all you need to do now is reconstitute that into a ball like that. Add just a little bit of flour into your bowl. And just rub any of that excess off your fingertips. And you can actually now allow that to sit for anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes, just to slightly rest. And now we're just going to proceed to check on our chicken. This is just now about done, should be about 2 to 3 minutes away. Right, so while that's cooking as well, we're also going to be making a very, very light dressing to go with our wrap. So for that, you're going to need an attachment for your blender. So you can actually also use a food processor. It will still work just the same. Now into your container, you're going to add your gherkins, half a piece of onion, and 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. To that, you will also add 1 tablespoon of capers. So capers, you can definitely find this in your regular retail stores. Very, very easy to find. They actually come in a jar and they're just preserved. Now to that, I will add about a tablespoon of olive oil. I will also add 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And you can actually substitute Dijon for some American mustard. It won't really make that much of a difference. And last but not least, some Parmesan cheese. And just combine everything in your bowl, in your processor. Just give that a nice lock and proceed to blitz that for a few seconds. Right, so once that's done, we're just going to give that a few minutes just for the flavors to combine. And I'll just direct your attention back to this side. We're just going to check on our chicken. And you can see it's now nicely, beautifully browned and it's now ready to come out. So I'm just going to move those into a bowl with some parchment paper, allowing the excess oil to drain. Right, so your chicken is now done. You can basically just allow that to cool off slightly on the side. And we're going to proceed now to heat another pan which we're going to be making our wraps in. So the chicken's now done. We can allow that to sit for a few seconds. And up next we're going to proceed on to our wrap. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of flour. I'll also need a rolling pin for this. And just proceed to split your dough into two pieces, rolling them back into golf-sized balls. And all you're going to do now is proceed to dust your board a little bit, patching your piece of dough on both sides and giving it a just nice enough coating of flour, and then just proceed to roll it out, making sure to turn continuously as you continue to roll it out, and also proceed to also add just a bit of flour. And you can also add just a bit, rub a bit of flour on your rolling pin, and then just proceed to roll out your dough. And what you should be looking for is a nice, thin, consistent kind of dough. And of course, making sure not to add too much flour. So a little bit of flour once more. And proceed to roll out your wrap. Right, so this is now rolled out to about 6 to 7 inches in diameter. And I'm actually now going to just trim that out a little bit. So I'm just going to use a pizza cutter for that. And I particularly like to use the size of a bowl. That really makes a very good wrap. But you can actually just cook it as big as it is. So we're just going to proceed to really give it a bit of a bigger size. Right, so once you have your dough all rolled out like that, you can basically now just use your pizza cutter and just go around looking for a nice round shape and proceed to cook that on a hot pan. And basically the pan should actually be at very, very moderate heat, shouldn't be too hot. Remember, you only want to just easily just cook your wrap on both sides without giving it too much of a color. So all you need to do now is just moderate your temperature to anywhere between medium to low heat and allow your wrap to cook on each side for about 2 minutes. Making sure also to just slide it around your pan. And then proceed to do the same thing for the second piece. So start off by leveling out your dough. Right, so this has now been cooking for about 2 minutes. So just grab your pair of tongs, just turn that around. Proceed to cook for another 2 minutes. Just continue to dust as you roll, making sure, of course, not to add too much flour at once. And now the first piece is done. We're basically now just going to move that onto a plate and allow it to cool off slightly. And just proceed to do the same for the next piece, but we are going to just trim it on the sides, making sure to look for one nice evenly rounded wrap. Just proceed onto your pan and cook as you did for the first piece. Just move that around with your hands. And basically, as I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, very, very easy to make your own wraps from scratch. And as you can see, it's not really a very difficult technique. You can actually be able to do it with a very, very short amount of time. And you can be able to do it as well in the nick of time before you're actually done with your chicken and everything else. The wraps actually can also be made in advance and kept in the fridge. And you can just reheat them once you're almost ready to serve. So that's been cooking 2 minutes now. We're just going to turn it around. And as you can see, nice, beautiful dots there, beautiful coloring, but not too much, of course. And now the second piece is now just about done. And you can now proceed to just let that sit on a plate and just allow them to cool off really quickly. But before we proceed now, and basically we are now at the last step where we are just going to start assembling this. We are going to take a short commercial break and just clear our counter with debris and dirt. But when we do come back, I'm going to show you now how to complete your wrap process and how to finish off your wrap, and basically just some small pointers on how to plate. So please don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are just catching up, we've just been doing some beautiful things in the previous segment. We finished doing our chicken, which is basically here, nice and ready to go. We also made some wraps, and we're just now at the last and final stage of just combining our wrap. So we're going to start off by grabbing some lettuce. I'm just going to cut that into some strips, making it a little easier to wrap and to work with. Right, simple as that. Just going to move this into a plate. Right, now up next, you're just going to now start off by grabbing your wrap and always looking at the nicest, best presentable side. So always look for the nicest side to have to show on the out. And now mask the inside by wrapping everything inside it. So we're going to start off by spreading our dressing around the wrap. And basically, for those of you who are just catching up, in here we did a bit of mustard, a bit of gherkins, capers, salt, olive oil, and just blended everything together. And now this is basically what we would use to spread onto our wrap. So I'm just going to place about 2.5 teaspoons. And all you're going to do now is start to spread your mixture from the center going outwards, but only allowing about 0.5 centimeter on the side, and constitute everything back to the inside. Once that is done, grab your lettuce and lay your lettuce right across your tortilla wrap. Right, next up, grab some of your chicken pieces and just lay them over the top like that. You can also finish off by adding a bit of that beautiful sauce right over the chicken. And then proceed to wrap by first start off from the side closest to you and just start off by just going right over the chicken, using your fingertips to push everything right underneath the wrap, and then proceed to tie your wrap, to fasten your wrap really, really tight, going all the way to the front, and then proceed by slicing your wrap right through the middle like that. And always have your flap side at the bottom, so flap side goes down like that, and you can place one piece over the top like that. So grab your spread and proceed once more to spread it right over the surface of your wrap. Follow that with a bit of some lettuce. And then finish off once more by adding your chicken pieces. And you can also drizzle just a bit of that sauce right over the chicken to just aid it in not allowing it to be too dry. And just as we did for the first, you go right over the top, tucking everything back right under the tortilla wrap, and then proceed to roll it all the way to the end, and once more using a knife, cut it right through the center. And basically that, ladies and gentlemen, is how simple it is to actually make your own wrap. So I've definitely had some fun today, and I hope you've also learned something, and you will actually be able to incorporate some of the techniques you've learned on the show today. So from my end, it has been a pleasure being with you as always, and I will also recommend that you check out our Facebook page. We're always looking forward to get some feedback from you. Any questions or any particular queries you may have pertaining the show, we're always happy to hear from you, and we're always looking forward to giving you back some feedback. So until the next episode, thank you so much for tuning in today. And from my side, thank you so much once more. And until the next episode, see you soon.